So again, marketers use products to deliver value to consumers. One key source of value for consumers, though, is the brand of that product. So as marketers, we really have to think long and hard about how we create our brand and how we protect our brand. For one reason, with a strong brand often comes something called brand equity. So what is brand equity? Well, it's the degree to which a consumer will pay more for products simply because they come from a particular brand. At first, you might think, nobody does that, but the reality is we all do. For example, if you went into a store and you saw a pair of shoes that looked just like the Nikes next to them, but they didn't say Nike and they didn't have a swoosh on them, which pair of shoes do you think you would be willing to pay more for? My guess is you're saying the Nikes, and that makes you just like most every other consumer in the market. So where does brand equity come from? Well, a lot of times it comes from a sense of reliability or an idea that the product is reliable. You're going to get the same quality every time, in other words. That leads to a strong brand, which can lead to brand equity. Other times, brand equity comes from the status that a brand or product conveys. So think about, for example, Louis Vuitton bags. It's a very well-regarded brand and highly respected within the fashion world and among many consumers. It's also a very expensive brand, and that is almost purely driven by the status that comes with that brand. There are other examples I could give, but that was the first that came to my mind. So, what else about brand equity? Well, almost every brand has some degree of brand equity. In other words, like that example I gave about the shoes with Nike or any other brand you want to put in there, almost any brand would lead us to pay a little more than a generic product or an unbranded product. So that's something to keep in mind. But I guess the question for us as marketers is, how big is our brand equity, or how much more can we charge for our brand? Answering that question is a challenge, but whenever we design our brand or communicate about our brand, one of our key goals is to develop this thing called brand equity.